So, and it was brought up, you know, there was some money. Well, the money that was mentioned earlier in the fire fund or the general fund, that fire fund, that fire reserve is just like it would be for the general fund reserve, to where the regulation states that if you take that out, which we've taken out some of it, you have to figure out a plan to put it back in. That's per our rules, okay? And so we do know that. What has and then the $4 million, yes, that was, and that was accurate. And what Mrs. Brewer said, and I'm glad Lloyd got back to you, because I was going to do that today. So, and let you know at the meeting this morning. So that's money that has been spent for the public safety, but in a different area. So we are aware of that. This auto aid, I think, and I agree, I think that we are doing this, you know, with what seems like we don't have a plan, but I think the auto aid is the best thing that we have going on right now. And so even if we do this today, what's going to happen is this does not mean we're going to stop talking with our partners to make sure that we have something to cover ourselves and to cover yourselves moving forward. I think it's something that we really need to stress, is that, you know, right after this, there's going to be more conversations that are going to take place. We're not going to let this thing go. This is something that's very important to us. I know that I've been thinking about this for a long time. I know my colleagues have been thinking about it for a long time. This is not an easy decision, but it's one in order to look at the safety of our public, the safety of our personnel. I think it's something that we're going to have to do. I don't want to. I don't think it's I don't like the position that we're in right now to have to do this, but sometimes we have to make the difficult decisions.
Okay. Supervisor McDaniel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just some real quick thoughts. I thought Mr. Wellman brought something to the dais of looking at things differently. One thing I'd like to touch too is the city of Livingston is a city of its own. And maybe the city of Livingston should consider, if they don't like the agreement that we're trying to do back and forth with the county, then the city of Livingston should have their own fire department. And then we could do an auto aid with the city of Livingston. But they are a city. So I just want to make sure that's out there. I know a lot of the other stuff, it is ongoing conversations at all times. But to look at it, Mr. Wellman and some other folks put it out there. We're moving into hard times. I mean, we're already looking at a $75 million shortfall at the county. And so moving forward, and that's a conservative estimate. And it's a direct result of the funding that we get from the state of California. So I'm not wanting to point fingers. I'm trying to do the best that I can with what we have here in Merced County. And a lot of decisions made by our governor and our legislature is affecting us right here. We're doing the best we can. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. As you know, the other comments. Oh, one more comment. Supervisor Rivera.
Mr. Chair, yeah, I think what Mr. Wellman was alluding to was duplication of services. And as you guys seen the slide that was up there before that shows what our revenues are and what the cost of doing business is, I don't think that anybody cares if you call 911 what color the truck is. You just want the closest one there. As a county, working with our city partners, county partners, duplication of services, or our most expensive thing that we do in local government is our human resources, and working on solutions on how do we not duplicate those services. Boundary drops are one of the ways you get there, and that involves elected officials leaving, checking their egos at the door, and saying, okay, what are we going to do that is best for all of our citizens? Because whether you're on the city council in Las Panas or Dos Palos, again, those are all my constituents. My state senator, my state assembly member, my congressman, all share those same constituents. So I think that's what was alluded to it. These are tough decisions. It's, there's I heard the letter about, there's a letter floating out there that is from Stanislaus. That was strictly on ambulance service. EMS, Riggs Ambulance was overusing the mutual aid from Stanislaus County and causing a burden to their system. And they sent a letter to our local EMS agency, the Merced County EMS agency, saying that they were no longer going to honor that because it was putting their service at a detriment. Didn't, as far as I know, that had nothing to do with county fire, which we're actually discussing today. And I do agree that it's all part of the discussion. Is what somebody brought up earlier is if it's going to take a fire truck longer to get there and the ambulance is not going to get there, usually our fire personnel are the quickest and the first on scene. So all tough decisions. I think that, hope isn't a strategy, but I feel like we're in a little better position than hope on these grants, these safer grants. I do know that I think Chief Pimentel mentioned it earlier. We weren't successful in getting it last year, but have been working with the technical assistance from FEMA on what do we need, what do we need to do, what do we need to present, what's the story that we need to tell to be eligible for those. And I think this action that's different today than it was a month ago is, instead of these actions happening on a budget cycle, which would be July 1st, some of these actions now will be moved out till October 1st, and by then we'll have a better idea as to where we'll be with those safer grants. So that's all I have for now, Chair. Thank you.
Supervisor Pereira.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I just kind of want to, talk a little bit about a few things first because of public comment. A lot of great public comment, a lot of great ideas. I heard in one instance that we're being asked, or that we've asked the city of Livingston to pay 100% of the cost of the fire. And I don't think that's correct. I just want to get a clarification, because you also mentioned about the overtime. So what's going, can you answer?
Yeah, thank you, Supervisor Pereira. I can address that. Yeah, we have been having conversations about a stopgap agreement at the staff level in regards to, as the city manager mentioned, overtime, using overtime to enhance services. What I've communicated to the city, I believe it would be the board's expectation that Livingston cover that, but that's just at the staff level. Nothing has come before the board formally, but that's been part of the conversation I've been having with the city manager.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it was mentioned about the letter from Stan County. As Supervisor Severa said, that was on EMS. I would like to share that was brought up at the Cressy meeting as well. And so we have received a letter from Stan County that came in, I believe, in January, because the letter said we're putting you on a 90-day notice, right? And so at the end of the 90 days, Riggs had made enough adjustments and changes that we got a letter from them saying, okay, we're good for now. Is that accurate?
Yeah, Supervisor, that is accurate. Thank you.
Okay. And it doesn't mean that the ambulance or the EMS system is fixed. I'm not saying it is, and I know that it's not. But at least, I don't want the people in the North County of Merced to be overly concerned. I mean, you should be concerned, but not. I don't want people to be overly concerned. And then, it's one of those where. The public comment is really like that we're not doing anything, and in a way, and that but everything is always ongoing, right? And like our discussions with the city of Merced, last night at their council meeting, it was said that they acted like they didn't know what was going on. Well, but the item was that, hey, this is something we'd like to look into. Do we get permission from you as the city council to look into this further? And there's some benefits to both the county residents and the city residents in that potential. And so, anyways, this isn't easy. I don't like being in this spot, but I mean, I signed up for it, and here we are, and we're going to have to make some tough decisions going forward. Even retired Rich Bond made the comment about having one person nearby is better than two farther away, and I agree with you, but we're being told by Cal Fire that's not an option, that we've got to consolidate. We have to have two fire personnel in each station, and so with that constraint, this is the best that option that we have going forward. And so, you know, I had that same conversation with somebody on an item or a thought in the South County and south of Merced, and you know, and that was it. That was my point was, hey, you're better off to have 2 people show up quickly than 4 people show up 10 minutes later. And so, you know, I you know, it was just interesting that, you know, somebody from, you know, the fire industry kind of had the same thought. But like I say, we're in a spot where we don't get that option. And so, anyways, isn't easy, but we'll get through this best we can. Thanks.
Supervisor Pedrosa.
Thank you. I forgot to mention a couple quick things. One, I think, or I will be going to Washington, D.C. next week and meeting with FEMA to discuss with them our SAFER grant application. I know in that meeting it's going to be myself and Jennifer Flackman from the City of Merced. The City of Merced received a SAFER grant. And so she's going to, you know, talk about the benefits of it, and I'm going to say why we need it. And so that's something that we're going to go out there and do next week, because they like to see, you know, even though they see the paper, that they want to see the faces that it really affects. And then finally, and I made mention of this at the last time we heard this, I really think it is time for us to reevaluate a public safety tax for Merced County. I mean, I think it's something that we have to do. I think it's way overdue, to be honest with you, and I think this is something that we really need to reassess and bring it back. And you know, the voters are out here saying that, you know, ask them for help. They want to help, and this is the way that they can help. I think that's important to note.
Supervisor Severa.
And to that point, Supervisor Pedrosa, it's like really, it's the community that needs to drive it, because I can tell you, if the Board of Supervisors is the one that drive it, you guys, we don't do anything. We're hitting the triple crown at failure. Everything gets pointed at us, and so really it needs to be a community-driven conversation. Well, I mean, so it's that to me is where it needs to start, and then because we're not the trusted messenger anymore. Secondly, I want to kind of talk about the study and the details of this study. Is, you know, really, if we're being real about it, I can tell you a few of them. Planada and LeGrand, we should close both of those and build a station right in the middle of Planada and LeGrand. That would be more efficient. That would be a more effective use of services. When you get over to the west side, Station 71 in Los Banos, right in my backyard, when it was built, I don't know, maybe 80 years ago, and then added on to like 40 years ago. When you looked out the station, you were looking out into the country. Now it sits in the heart of the city of Los Banos. Their response times to, now mind you, that's an incorporated city, so they don't do a lot of response in the city, just mutual aid stuff, but their response times to the unincorporated areas, the first 5 to 7 minutes of the response time is just driving through the city. There are a lot of options out there that we, you know, if we had the resources, because what do? If you close a station in LeGrand and close a station in Planada, and I'm just using them as one example, you got to have the resources to build a new fire station right in the middle somewhere. And I want to highlight, since we're talking about fire issues, out in El Nido, we're in talks right now. I think it's between county councils, between the county of Madera and the county of Merced, to have a joint station. Again, talking about that duplication of services, we are doing stuff to try to figure that out. Is basically Madera's picking up half of the staffing, Merced County's picking up half of the staffing, and now instead of having 2 stations, it really fills a hole out in their area and then gives us the additional staffing. So there are things that we are doing that are in addition to just what you're seeing here. But those, as time goes on, you know, to me, the station at 81 is kind of in this, not quite as bad, but is in the same boat. The one on Martin Luther King there, back when they built that station, that was the edge of town. Now, not so much. So I think that there's a lot of things that we need to do to try to address, because if you go back to that slide, and I don't need you to do it now, but the slide that shows what we're bringing in fire fund, what the cost of doing business is, we just have to be more efficient at what we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Medeo.
Thank you. And I just want to touch on my colleagues, whatever they said, a community driven, because if it's community driven, it only takes 55% to pass. If it's county driven, it takes a 2/3 plus 1 to drive it. So let me just put that information out there. It's easier to pass if the community drives it than if we take a hold of it and drive it. Thank you.
Well, on my behalf, I think, like I said, if it's community driven and, I can, I'll be glad to make a motion to continue this item for a couple months, at least what we know in June, how the state budget's going to affect us as well, so we can see all the numbers. So, that gives the public enough time to try to get something on the ballot for November, if it's possible, or have a, I got the calls for a public forum, and I say yes anytime, but that's just me, it's. I think you guys got to work with the rest of the board so we can have I'll be glad to get in a public forum and discuss this, continue the discussion. So with that, I'll be happy to make a motion to continue for at least 2 months or 1 month. And that's my motion. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Continue for 2 months. There's a second. 2 months? Hey, revise.
It only takes 1 second.
30 days or 60 days? So, we have a comment first. Supervisor Rivera.
Yeah, I just think we're continuously kicking the can down the road here, and we're going to be back here in 2 months having the same discussion. The numbers aren't going to change. It's still $6.9 million to keep funding, to fund all 19 stations at the 2030 factor. We don't have the money, and so I think it's kind of doing a disservice to. Well, it's not. First, I'm not going to say a disservice. It makes it challenging for staff that we have to make these decisions. We do have a budget process that we're right in the middle of, and we have to pass a proposed budget by June 30th. I think we're just keep kicking the can down the road. So I mean, obviously, there's been a motion in a second, and I will be a no vote on that.
Stacy, can we have a roll call, please?
What's the motion?
To continue for 2 months. Okay. All right, I'll retract my my motion, and I'll say 30 days. Okay. So second that by the Supervisor
Thank you.
McDaniel.
You have a comment?
Comment, Supervisor Pedroso?
Yeah, so if I'm understanding this motion correctly, this is to just continue this item so that we go through this whole process over again in a month, as opposed to continuing to work on it. So I mean, I just think that we do have a process that we have to go through in regards to the budget, like Supervisor Silvera said, and we have to have this in place, or we have to have a plan in place. But just by pushing it forward or moving it up, I don't think that does us any good, because we're going to be going through the same thing again. And so, I mean, and it's like, eventually we're going to have to vote on this one way or the other. We're still this, and I'm glad that option 6 is in there, because this allows for that wiggle room for us to say, hey, we're still working on this, but we have to do this now so that we can start planning, and then as things become available, then we know we'll have a better idea. But this doesn't put anybody at ease knowing that we're just going to wait and wait and wait until the exact last minute, and then all of a sudden nothing's there. I mean, I think we're still going to work on it. If that's the motion, I can't support that.
Okay. I'm going to go for Supervisor McDaniel. You have a comment, real quick comment?
Yes, Mr. Chair, just very quickly, as you're having this discussion, our current agreement with CAL FIRE does expire as well on June 30th. So some concern there about not being able to implement the direction if we hold off another month with this decision. Just something for you to consider. Thank you.
Okay, so one more comment and we'll go to roll call. If not, okay. Supervisor McDaniel.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think the reason I seconded the motion is because we have the fire chief here from Merced. I think we'll be further along in that discussion, hopefully, and would have maybe some more meat. So I think maybe continuing this till then, it'd be an easier vote at that point on the McKee station.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and roll call. Oh, Supervisor Pereira? No. Let's go ahead and roll call, and then we can have more comments. You want to do a quick comment?
Well, I'm not going to vote till it's discussed.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, thank you. One of the items that well, with Mrs. Brewer and Josh, her son, and I talked about at the Cressy station was to have an item in here that allows us to change this if we need to. And I think what Supervisor Pedroza was alluding to was that. And I mean, this isn't easy. This is 2 fire stations that serve my district, right? And so votes aren't easy, right? But I would feel like I let down the people if we don't do this now. We've got a contract that starts July 1st. We've worked into it wiggle room, right? We've went from a July 1st date to an October date, which allows us to continue conversations just like Supervisor Pedroza said. And so as difficult as the decisions are, I think we've built in enough safeties that if things change, we can come back and not do the things that are in the recommendation from staff. But I just don't see how we can have a contract with CAL FIRE if we wait a month, and how do you put together a contract, a $36 million or a $40 million contract, whatever it's going to be at that time, if you've only got 3 weeks to put it together, right? I mean, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but we've been discussing this, for 5 years. It's not like that we've just brought this up. It's as difficult as it is. I think we're at a spot where we need to start a direction, and we can change that direction, right? And it's already built into staff's recommendation. If circumstances change, we're good. So, I'd like to ask you to reconsider your motion to put it off 30 more days. I think that's detrimental to the process, not enhancing the process. I think we built in, the potentials to change later. So that's my comment.
Well, if the contract with CAL FIRE expires on the 30th of June, this will be early June, the 30 days. So that's why I think like I said, if the contract's already there, they know what the numbers are. So you have another comment?
Well, yes. So if we put this off for 30 days, the next board meeting after that is June 25th. That's 5 days before the end of the month. You know what I mean? That's our next available meeting to have this discussion. So I just don't, man, I don't think that's fair to staff. I don't think it's fair to anybody to try to do that. 5 days to put together, I don't know. That's my comment.
Okay. All right, let's just have a roll call, and then like I said, if it doesn't pass, then you can have another vote. So roll call, please.
Supervisor Pedroza? No. Supervisor McDaniel? Aye. Supervisor Pereira?
No.
Supervisor Silvera?
No.
Chairman Espinoza?
Aye. Motion fails 2-3. Okay.
Mr. Chair, just wanted to share that these recommended actions are before you. You have obviously the option of considering them individually or independent of one another, but we wanted to kind of direct your attention to the screen because those are the 6 options that are provided as part of your staff's recommendation. But again, the hope is that you consider those independent of one another.
Okay, with that, I'll entertain another motion. Supervisor Silvera.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think we're going to take these all separately, so I will start this painstaking process. Motion to approve item number 1.
Second.
Okay, we have first by Supervisor Silvera, second by Supervisor Pedroza. Roll call, please.
Supervisor Pedroza?
Yes.
Supervisor McDaniel?
Aye.
Supervisor Pereira?
No.
Supervisor Silvera?
Aye.
Chairman Espinoza?
No. You want to go ahead and... 3-2, right? Motion passed 3-2. We'll go on item 2. You want to continue?
No, I'll let somebody else do.
Any other motions? me go ahead and put discussion.
I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the consolidation of Station 76 in Dos Palace and 75 in Dos Palace Y into a single unified station in Dos Palace Y, effective October 1st, 2024, and redirect staff to alternate locations.
Okay, we have motion by Supervisor Pedrosa on item number 2. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Supervisor Pereira. Second. Roll call, please.
Supervisor Pedrosa?
Yes.
Supervisor McDaniel?
Aye.
Supervisor Pereira?
Aye.
Supervisor Silvera?
No.
Chairman Espinoza?
No. Motion passes 3-2. Okay, we have item number 3. Is there a motion?
Yes. Are we in discussion mode?
Yes.
I'll move to approve the removal of CAL FIRE staffing at Station 96 in the city of Livingston, effective October 1st, 2024, and redirect staff to alternative locations, 92 in Balico, 91 in Delhi, and 95 in Helmar will cover the service areas.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor McDaniel. Is there a second?
Second.
Supervisor Pedrosa. Can we have roll call, please?
Supervisor Pedrosa?
Yes.
Supervisor McDaniel?
Aye.
Supervisor Pereira?
Aye.
Supervisor Silvera?
Aye.
Chairman Espinoza?
No. Motion passes 4-1. Okay, we have a motion on item number 4.
I'll move to approve the closure of Station 85 in Merced effective October 1st and redirect staff to alternate locations. Stations 81, 86 will cover for those service areas.
Okay, we have motion by Supervisor Pereira. Is there a second?
Second.
Supervisor Silvera, second. Can we have a roll call, please?
Supervisor Pedrosa?
No.
Supervisor McDaniel?
Aye.
Supervisor Pereira?
Aye.
Supervisor Silvera?
Aye.
Chairman Espinoza?
No. 3. Motion passes 3-2, right? Okay, item number 5. Is there a motion?
Yes.
Supervisor Pereira.
I'd like to move that we direct staff to return the board if awarded the SAFER grant, or if any of the options currently being discussed. Well, I want 6 done. I guess I jumped the gun. I think it's important, right? So I'm going to stick with 6, and that if any of the options currently being discussed with the cities materialize, to consider any adjustments to the board action taken as a part of this item. I actually would have felt more comfortable if we had done this one first. So.
All right, we have motion by Supervisor Pereira on item number 6. Is there a second?
Second.
Supervisor McDaniel. Roll call, please.
Supervisor Pedrosa?
Yes.
Supervisor McDaniel?
Aye.
Supervisor Pereira?
Aye.
Supervisor Silvera?
Aye.
Chairman Espinoza?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 5. Is there a motion?
Can I ask a question on that? And I just asked Forrest. So because I voted no on 4, is this just saying, hey, we've already voted on 1, 2, 3, 4? This is just saying, since we voted that's been documented, now we're just saying, staff, here was what we said for 1 through 4. It's not like we're just giving the staff direction based on our previous direction?
That is correct. That is correct. So your staff will start working some of those directives into our CAL FIRE agreement. Obviously, if something changes between now and when we bring that forward, we can make adjustments, and even post July 1st, we can make adjustments to that agreement through amendments. Thank you.
Chair Silvera, motion to approve item number 5.
Supervisor Silvera, is there a second?
Second.
Supervisor McDaniel. Roll call, please.
Supervisor Pedrosa?
Aye.
Supervisor McDaniel?
Aye.
Supervisor Pereira?
Aye.
Supervisor Silvera?
Aye.
Chairman Espinoza?
No. Motion passes 4-1. Okay. Next, we have Public Works.
You want to take a short break?
Short break? Okay. People are ready. We'll take a 5-minute break.
Thank you.